Welcome to the first Sim San Diego podcast. I'm Bob Cohen, Sim San Diego board member and treasurer. This is an experiment. We're going to try to experiment with this podcast medium in order to bring additional value to our members. So be patient with us. It'll take some time before we get it completely right, both in technical details and as well as content. So certainly we're looking for any input that any of our members have or want to participate in one of our future podcasts. Some of the future type of podcasts could be having our members here in the podcast studio talking about their technology and how they're using it in their company. We could have more than one talk about that, and I think that would be really valuable. We could have interviews with our sponsors, talk a little bit more about their technology before their sponsored event. And also, we could have speakers come in here that are going to speak at one of our future events, give a little bit of insight into what they're going to talk about, and it'll give you a better idea of the value that they'll bring at our meeting. And that's what's going to happen today. We're going to have an interview over Zoom with Nina Purewal, who will be speaking at our event on May 25th, Wednesday, May 25th, at 6 p.m., I believe, at the Santa Luz Club dining room, the same place that we had our wonderful holiday party. It'll be under the stars. So it'll be a wonderful evening, and I hope every one of our members attend. You can register on our homepage, simsandiego.org. And if you have any questions, you certainly can email any of the board members about the event. Welcome, Nina. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A little background on Nina. She's the founder of Pure Minds, and of course the international best-selling co-author of the book Let That Shit Go. I'm going to have fun saying that word. You also do many corporate wellness workshops. Have a kids podcast. Kids, so she's done podcasting before, much more so than me, and has an online course called Let That Shit Go Masterclass. Some of Nina's clients include PepsiCo, Nestle, Unilever, GSK, Deloitte, Viacom, and many more. So Nina, tell our SIM members a little bit about your background and what you did to decide to go into the field of what I'll call mindful leadership and wellness.
Yeah, well, thank you for that very humbling introduction. I have always been into learning about mindfulness and meditation actually since I was 16, so over 25 years now. I kind of parallel path that with going to business school, getting my degree there, and then having a really great career in the consumer packaged goods industry. In 2010, I actually left. I took a year sabbatical and I moved to Northern California and I lived in a monastery for a year to further my study. Yeah, everyone thought I was crazy at the time, but now it works.
Yeah.
And I came back and I went back into corporate for quite some time and realized all of the tips and tools and tricks that I learned when I was studying could be applicable to the everyday workplace, the stress we experience, the fast-paced environment. And so 5 years ago, I decided to leave that world and start my own business doing mindfulness workshops for companies. And since the pandemic, mental health has been a big priority. And it's been wonderful to be able to kind of collaborate those two worlds.
Great, thanks. Great, thanks. So as Sim San Diego's membership is their, basically senior technology leaders here in the San Diego metro area. Busy folks under a lot of pressure, struggling with, IT security. Hiring has become a big issue, retention, cost of living issues here in San Diego. So lots of crazy times for a lot of our members. So what will they expect on your talk on the 25th? What do you think what would you say they're going to gain from your presentation?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I've been there. I've worked in the corporate environment. I get how stressful it is. And what I'm hoping people to leave with is a toolkit of practical tips on how to better mitigate the stress, the anxiety, because there's so much in our exterior world that we cannot control. We can't control the targets. We can't control, hiring someone and then they leave in a month. We can't control the rising house prices. So what can we control? We can control how we're reacting to it all. And my hope is that people leave with a number of tips on how to better handle what's happening in the external, because again, we can focus on what we can control, but there's so much we stress about that we can't control.
Great, that's good. Yeah. So let's talk about the book, uh,
Yeah.
which I've had time over these past few days to read. I haven't gotten through it all, and it's actually been very relevant for me for some issues going on in my life. But let's talk about the style a little bit. I'm born in Brooklyn, New York, and born and raised in New York, so the language certainly doesn't bother me. But it's almost like a style of the book that it's intentional. You use it, and certainly when you read it, you get those feelings by using the language, not only just the title, but some of the other language in the book. So talk a little bit about the style of the
Yeah,
book.
so the style of the book was very intentional. I think
Hmm.
swearing is a form of expression, and
Hmm.
I spent many, many years working in sales, so I developed a little bit of potty mouth.
No, right.
And it's light swearing, and it's again, sometimes there's positive swearing, right? Like your life is so effing awesome, and you need to embrace that. And so we wanted to just appeal to the everyday person, and that's what we were hoping with this book. And the tone is just write it as if you would be talking in the workplace, because having been there for many, many years, people do swear, and it's a natural part of life. So the tone was very intentional and friendly, and we wanted people to feel like as they read the book, we were talking to them, we were having a live conversation.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's very. I do encourage, and just to remind, and I'll repeat this later on. Anyone who attends the meeting on the 25th will get a signed copy of the book. So
Right.
please encourage folks to attend. So what's there's a lot. Again, I haven't finished it all, but there are a lot of techniques that you talk about in the book, and some that to me actually I realized I was doing, the specific one I'm talking about is the observation mind versus the
Yes.
chatty mind.
Yes.
I'm a person who doesn't like. I've had some blood tests recently. I'm the kind of person who doesn't like to look at them through the needle. So I use my observation mind during those sessions,
That's
where I
great.
look outside the window. What is she doing? What is the technician doing? It's almost like you're away from the event. But that was something, one of the techniques that I took to heart. What are some of the other key takeaways from reading the book specifically? That again is kind of the similar question about your talk, that you hope someone would get from the book.
Yeah, well, the book is filled with over 120 tips. So every few pages is a tip. It's not one of those books you have to read cover to cover. You can kind of open it way. But the framework is exactly what you talked about. It's really being aware of the thoughts that we think. We think over 60,000 thoughts a day, which translates to 35 to 42 thoughts a minute. And our mind is constantly going, and that takes away from our focus, from our creativity. And so that's kind of the groundwork. And then we dive into the different types of thoughts that we think around, the self smack talk. What are we actually saying to ourselves? The thoughts that we have, as I said earlier, about things that we can't control. How much time and effort and energy are we spending on worrying and stressing about things that are just completely out of our hands? We talk about perspective, looking at life through what I call the macro, so big picture. You may have access to food, shelter, water, and a big percent of the world doesn't have that, right? So shifting our perspective. It goes into authenticity as well, just owning your voice and doing what's right for you, living from a place of passion, forgiveness. There's a lot on tech balance as well, and I know that's something, especially with my clients, are really really struggling with. The lines between work and home are becoming more and more blurred. So how do we create some tech boundaries, and a little bit on meditation as well. So really it's about being able to observe what's going on in there, and then kind of tackling things one at a time. And in the workshop that I'm going to be doing for you all, I'm going to be pretty much grazing over every topic. So every chapter in the book is going to be a different module. in the workshop. And I think it'll be beneficial, as I said, to walk away with some toolkits on how to mitigate the stress.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, for better or for worse, the timing has been excellent given the pandemic, given that people, working at home and sort of reassessing, in some cases, quitting their jobs or just reassessing their future, in these times. And so I think people, are struggling with that. And also management is struggling with how to deal with, their employees that may be stressed out on some of these issues. And what it sounds like your book and your presentations and your master class can give them the tools not only to help them but help their employees that are struggling.
Exactly. And with this leadership workshop, I am going to be focusing on that as, how can you help yourself, but also as a leader, how can you help your team, move through all these challenges to become just more efficient and more productive.
Super, great. Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to the event on May 25th. I want to remind our listeners and our members that the title of the presentation is How to Be a Mindful Leader. May 25th, 6 p.m. at the Santa Luz Club Dining Room under the stars. It's a beautiful place. It's where we had our last holiday party. So hopefully our members will be able to find it. And again, you'll be getting a free copy of the book. If you have not registered, go to simpsandiego.org and register. And I look forward for everyone to be there. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you so much for having me on. And I really look forward to meeting you in person. And as I said, being in sunny California, because it was snowing here a few weeks ago. So I'm ready
So
to.
where you're in the East Coast? Which?
uh, I'm in Toronto, so I'm just
Oh,
north
Toronto.
of the
Okay.
city. Yeah.
Cold.
And love the Southern California sun and beaches. So, and the golf course looks beautiful. I've seen pictures of it. So can't wait to be there and looking forward to it.